And family, thank you for joining me here at the American News Network with Chris Sanders. Many of you joined me on my trip to Sturgis, South Dakota, and just so you know, it was 2,935 miles, going from the state of Oklahoma up through the Panhandle, through the beautiful state of Colorado into Wyoming, where we checked out Devil's Tower a couple times, then went into the Black Hills, a magical area that everybody should visit at least a couple times in their lives. But we had another beautiful area that was tragically hit, and it reminded me of Benedict Canyon and the PG&E fires that were set in California by the liberals not long ago, and then they had some sort of woke employee saying the same thing, and this guy said, well, we didn't turn on the alarms in the middle of the night because then the people would wake up and run into the mountains. No, sir, you'd be assuming that they would be blind and that they wouldn't have the ability to smell. What they needed was a wake-up call so that they could know that, oh, the area is on fire. I've got footage around earlier I'm going to show you where actually the electric company knew that this was burning. It was caught earlier on in the day. Could this be a property pickup? Now, after 8 days, Jackwagon Joe says, I'm going to give the people of Maui $700 of relief. Wow. Okay, America, wake up. This guy's going to give you $700. But yet we're giving everybody in the Ukraine $900. Did you know that? Okay. Who's he working for, this Manchurian candidate? As they attack our president, who's Donald Trump, let's be clear about that. The actions of the Biden administration speak louder than their words. Did you know that the chief of police for the Maui stuff that's going on happened to be the same chief of police when this Vegas shooting was going on, and he was trained at the FBI? That's a little bit of something I thought you should know, because to me it stinks to high heaven, and this is Smokescreen 101. Then I see all the selected fires that happened, and I noticed that a lot of the people that were accused on that movie, I'm just going to keep it and say it like that for maybe a sort of a pedo type of exposure in the border. A lot of those people seem to live on the island of Maui. Coincidence? Now, we have a lot of people, too. I'm just going to name out celebrities such as Oprah Winfrey, business people like Bill Gates, people like that live on Hawaii. All their homes were not touched at all. But we have certain things. Locals that were burned out and then offered no money at all. So the money was not offered for the common man, but this is what big business is trying to do. There's actually something that I've put together that I want you to pay attention to. And this is what has happened, and it's all backed by China, BlackRock, and Dominion together. So they've affected Pakistan's voting, and as such, they have jailed Imran Khan. Now, this is Pakistan's Donald Trump. He cares about Pakistan. The reason why I support this guy is because I support any president that is sincere about protecting his own country. And we had that with Donald Trump, and they had that with this guy. People knew that. China couldn't do it. They destabilized it, and they put a pansy, a puppet in, just like we got. The guy that we have, he doesn't work for us. If he did, $200 billion goes to the Ukraine, but you can't even fix a petri dish of a problem in America. Now, they can't because, see, Trudeau and him are doing the same thing. They're setting fires to their country so that they could sell it to billionaires later on, and that's what's going on. Okay, so Imran Khan gets jailed. Does this sound like the same tactic that they're doing to Donald Trump? I would say yes. What's the other tactic that they've threatened? Well, the other tactic is what they're doing with Brazil and Bolsonaro. So they made it where Bolsonaro, because of his crimes, he's not going to be eligible to run for 8 years. Okay, these are mirror image, BlackRock, Dominion, Smartmatic. I don't care if you try to expose me. I'm not making $1 off this, and I'm going to tell you something because I'm an oil man from Texas. Okay, that's where you don't have me. I'm not for sale. And we, the American people, this family that's going to be responding, we're a community and we're on to you. And we need our voting system back, and we want you out of our country. You violated the 24th Amendment. You created a poll tax or other tax by you mediating with Fox and Dominion, yourselves suing each other, and just by me exposing that, yeah, 300 million Americans have seen that on a platform I don't even control, nor am I on. So to my friends and family that are spreading all this stuff on TikTok, God bless you and thank you. I guess really what our government is afraid of is the fact that they can't regulate the truth in the media. And by, I guess, me having a 300 million audience, more people listen to the American News Network than any other source. So behind me you see here, and this is Bolsonaro, and he's in court, and what they're trying to do, this is the exact same tactic, okay, that they're trying to do with President Trump. And they're trying it every which way they can. They either want to jail him, like Imran Khan, or they want to make him ineligible, like Bolsonaro. And these are all the tactics of the same company. Yep, the same George Soros, Obama, Dominion, Smartmatic, leftover antichrists, in my opinion, in leagues with Xi Jinping. You heard me right. They want to take God and country away. They want to take our money away. They have an agenda. And all this trans stuff that I told you, it came from Obama because Big Mike is a tranny. And now you know that's not just a Colonel Sanders conspiracy theory. Anything but finger-licking good. That's finger-licking disgusting. And you know that he's a homosexual and he's been lying. I told you who his kids were the parents of, and that was Marty K. Nesbitt and Anita K. Blanchard. And I showed you what the biological parents look like. But we're facing more serious things right now. And we have professionals, I think, that are out there trying to ignite world war. For instance, okay, I'm going to use this for an example, and we got to protect our president behind us. He's the only chance we have. Just study as far as Ron DeSantis and where his money comes from, and that should, you got to do some learning, sir. And same with you, Vivek. As soon as you even make as much as I have, then you could be a candidate, but you're a kid. And you need to let our billionaire leader, Orange Man Good with watermelon balls, continue to lead our nation in a positive direction. Okay, so let's see here. What's going on? This is what's been going on. I've been telling us since day one. Our Manchurian candidate, Trump was just talking about that. So this is the proof on him being a Manchurian candidate. I don't know if you heard this speech from Trump. If not, I will play it. But look at this. What they did is they have a parade that they do with the Russian military. And so this is all the stuff they've captured from Germany, every single contributing force. And they have somehow gotten all of our equipment completely unscathed. I mean, they took this stuff apart. They took our Patriots apart. They're now saying the Russian Defense Minister, Sergei Shoigu, mocks the West and shows that how they know how to take all of our stuff, fight every single component that we have. Now, who can we thank? Who can we thank for this, America? Trump? No. Jackwagon Joe? You betcha. Courtesy of Jackwagon Joe, they have everything that they need to learn how to take us on. So if you're in the Army or the Marines, well, all of our systems, the Patriot missile system, our HIMARS system, everything, they have it. Okay? In real conditions, our weapons show their reliability and effectiveness. And now they are confident that they can destroy us because they are saying, just like I've been saying, they have used this war as an opportunity to dissect our equipment. Okay, HIMARS was something, but not when the Russians got a hold of it and have been studying it. And then they upped it, and they found out how to advance every single component while we have had Jackwagon Joe in office, and all he cares about is not swinging by a rope because he violated the U.S. Constitution, America. Now, I filmed literally hundreds of bikers when I was in Sturgis. I'm not going to post one of those interviews for the protection of my audience because every one of them felt exactly like I feel. And it got to the points like that Marine that was posted from the Walkaway Foundation, and I just figured, well, if a black lady can't say it, then who can? But we've had enough, America. All of us have. Every single piece of equipment that we have has been dissected by the Russian Ministry of Defense. And I want our boys that are serving for us to know that. This guy's worse than Geraldo Rivera, and I'm talking about Jack Wagon Joe. Why do you think I call him that? He's not a leader. Afghanistan, you know what that was? That was just us doing stuff for Big Pharma so we could grow opium somewhere, even though the poppy flower is the state flower for the state of California. Did you know that? Yeah, so what we like to do is this. Look at this, another thing that they have. This is the Spanish-made Alcoran. What you're seeing is basically all of these different things, and I have a list of everything that they're doing, and that'll be on another show, and everything that they're dissecting, that they're making public, that is, okay? This right here is a big, gigantic upgrade on the TU-95. The big upgrade is this. Now they can hold, let's see here, what was it? I think they're 200 kiloton bombs, but they can do a dozen of these now. So they upped it to where they can do 6 more 200 kiloton bombs. Why would they want to do that? Sounds like a strong move for peace, in my opinion. Why Belarus and Russia then threaten all of NATO? Okay. So, do you know what's going on here? I'm going to give you my opinion. We have King Charles that's in office. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's basically a retard. His mother, she had the kahunas and she kept world peace. She knew Putin. This guy, he's a globalist with the WEF. You get Richie Sunak in there, some entitled, spoiled brat billionaire, and now we have London, the United Kingdom, not led by a king, not led by a leader, but leading us into destruction. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Now, there's a little story here you might think is funny. Then the 7 angels with the 7 trumpets prepared to blow them. The first angel blew his trumpet, hail, fire mixed with blood came pouring down on the earth. A third of the earth was burned up, a third of the trees, and every blade of green grass. Okay. Did you guys know that Justin Trudeau, good old Fidel Jr., he's setting your country on fire? Yeah, he is. And I'm just letting you know that. Okay? So we wouldn't know that if we didn't literally have video evidence of like choppers flying around, dropping basically then napalm straight out of the sky. But it's pretty interesting to watch, and it's happening. And how is that, and I'm not kidding you, and how has the jib jab been working? Well, we had a pilot carrying 271 passengers die in the bathroom the other day. Yeah, that shot sure is working for everybody that's working, isn't it? This is dangerous. This is happening. These pilots have to take physicals, and the fact that they're dying in the air is tragically scary. Now, what does that relate to, in my opinion? Well, it relates to the jib jab, and that jib jab then relates to China, then relates to the Ukraine, then relates to the beef with Putin, where he says from the beginning we've been doing bioweapons in the Ukraine. Well, at least there's a candidate that agrees with me, and that would be this guy back here. RFK Jr. agrees with me. He's exposed it, and I still want him to team up with Trump. Vivek, he's a nice young kid. He's not going to carry any more candidates. This right here is the one thing we need to demolish the Democrat Party, because they killed his father and his uncle. The FBI is corrupt. That has been proven. I've got something for you to listen to about the Durham cases. Jim Jordan and his counsel completely smash him into the dirt, exonerating President Trump 100% completely. Also, members of Congress, based on this information, if you do not immediately impeach Fani Willis, you all serve in contempt of Congress and have grounds for us to impeach you all from office immediately. These are facts. We can't protect this guy anymore. He doesn't protect us. He doesn't have any money for us. If he had money for us, he'd have homes ready for the government so that every time a tornado would hit the United States, the government could show up and say, we have this town covered. I mean, even I could do that with my friend Robert Plar. Just check out our spaceship houses in Taos, New Mexico. Are we being run by just a complete group of idiots? Basically, they're criminal ambulance chaser type of attorneys. I want you to know that. And Putin, if you're listening, yeah, we need help, all the help we can to put Trump back in office and straighten these people out. Trump, put me on your prosecution team because I think we should turn it into a Jerry Springer show of A, justice, and B, did you know that you can invest in hemp rope? Hemp also saved President George Bush Sr. as he jumped out of an airplane. And furthermore, did you know why they took Daniel chapter 13 out of the Bible? Well, you see, they do this again and again, and I don't mean to bring this up, but see, they've taken so many books out of the Bible that people can't swallow it and the churches are empty. Well, what do you mean by that, Chris? Well, in Daniel chapter 13, there are two judges that wanted to rape a girl, and they figured, you know what, since we're judges and ruling the town, they'll believe in us. And Daniel came down, and he got inside this attorney, and he gave him all the wisdom he needed to exonerate her. But see, they took that chapter out because when an elected official, even in the Bible, did something that they were guilty of, the punishment, according to the Bible, was death. There you go. And see, they were like, we can't have that in here. We got to take that stuff out. Well, you take that stuff out, you have no accountability, you let your preachers rape our kids, and then guess what? You wake up the next day and the church is empty. Okay. What's an abomination? Abomination was Barack Obama in the White House. Because why? Because he was doing homosexual, lewd, transgender acts in front of our faces, and that's why we're having to swallow all this nonsense. And I've seen it infect even my hometown, like of Denton, Texas, where they'll squalor at Rubber Gloves or Harvest House and basically tell everybody that God doesn't exist. And I'm sure that there's some sort of nest of rat haven even where you live. Well, it's time to stand up, because none of those people are going to be fighting for your freedoms. But they will be looting you. They will be disrespecting police. They will be saying everything they can to live a lie. Now, I want you to see something, and I want this murder investigated now that everybody knows that Jack Wagon Joe. Listen to this.
Is this like a new cottage career move for you?
I'm so excited. And I should do very well because I don't show.
And do you think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman
We already
president?
have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, God.
Okay, so Joan Rivers exposed. I'm not kidding you, this is no lie. She exposed it. Now we have Obama's chef getting murdered. I'm telling you, it's to cover up the same nonsense of him being a homo. This book came out, and then the next day Barack Obama's hands were all bruised up, and now he's a suspect. But then that's going to be covered up too. How much of a damn thing are we going to take from this lying couple, Big Mike? Okay, and then you're like, well, what do you mean? Michelle has kids, and I'm like, she does not. He does not have kids. Okay, I repeat, Big Mike Obama does not have children. Okay, he is gay. His brother knows it. He's exposed it. I'm sick of the lie. These people actually need to pay the consequences for lying to us. If he was a real American black man, he would have freed every American black man in jail from marijuana in the first 2 weeks he was elected. Bingo. He's not from the hood. He's a homo from Honolulu. And he ain't even a real Muslim, because when he went over there with this gay husband, MBS was like, we don't do that in Islam, brother. Okay, this is the actual mother of the kids. That's why Malia, the smaller one, looks just like her. This is the biological mother, and she's Anita K. Blanchard. Her husband is Marty K. Nesbitt. He's head of the Obama Foundation. Question, who murdered Joan Rivers? I love Joan Rivers. She's a very beautiful comedian, and I'll tell you something. It's very hard to be beautiful and funny, and she had both of those qualities. And that's when comedy was fun, and her and Johnny Carson were a delight. And something fishy went there, which on there, and We need justice for that too. Now, Martin Nesbitt, the head of the Obama Foundation, looks just like the other daughter. I know people have heard this on my show before, but now finally the main news media is on my side. I've been exposing this now for 4 years. Out of the 50 videos or so, they delete about 90% of them because they don't want you to know the truth. Marty Nesbitt, this guy right here, if you look at his face, he looks just like the older daughter of the Obamas because he's the biological father. The other one's the mother. They've been lying to you. They're liars. I'm sick of it. You should be sick of it. That's why we've had this LGBTQ LMNOP crap shoved down all of our children's throats. Now, why am I against it? Well, I'm against it because of a couple things, but the main thing is the whole trans movement has a 40% suicide in the first 2 years, and you want to push that on our kids? No, not in my house and not in any other parent's house, and I speak for every parent and grandparent here. You people that live that lifestyle have no say-so on our children. And I speak for everybody that reads the Bible and the Quran. How about that? We're 85% of the people, which leads me into something else I want to talk about. These smoke screens. Maui was a smoke screen. Is there another smoke screen? Oh, you betcha there is. And this smoke screen that comes up, I'm just going to point it out to you because sometimes we need pictures. Okay. Sweden. Sweden's going to get destroyed by very simple smoke screening. So what Sweden's got going on in it is they've got these guys that go around thinking that they can burn the Quran. Okay. How do you think that would work about burning the Bible in America? Or burning the flag? Does that work for you? Doesn't work for me at all. And it doesn't work for anybody that follows Muhammad. And out of respect, that's the most disrespectful thing you could do. Now, as far as if we should be enemies, if you want to know something between Christians and Muslims, I've read the Quran and we're the believers. Their enemies are actually infidels that pull this stuff, the gay stuff, all that. People that actually believe in a creator are not their enemies. I don't know if you know that or not. Muhammad's problem was also like the Catholic Church and what they did with boys and how then they were making idol images. And one of the 10 Commandments is thou shalt not worship an idol image. So these things came about and these differences came about. However, what did Jesus teach us how to do? He taught us how to love. And so to me, the finisher of faith is Jesus, because in every other faith, we as human beings say, God, do you understand me? But only in Christianity does God respond and say, do I understand you? I gave you my only child so you could be saved. What don't you understand? And see, to me, that's a finished and a complete faith. Because no greater love is somebody that could give their life for somebody that loves them. Now, Jackwagon Joe, he doesn't have but $700 for people that have lost their houses and homes. Those are United States citizens. Meanwhile, on the island of Kauai, one of my friends, Owen, this guy, I wonder if I can call him up. They arrested him, and he's a disabled vet. And that's how we treat our vets. I'm just wanting you to know that. So, police force out there, even on the island of Kauai, well, they want to arrest him, because he slept underneath the catamaran of his friends. And that's how we treat our vets. Now, this guy was the chief engineer on a dozen submarines in Honolulu for us. And if that's how this government's treating our vets, you all deserve to be fired. I'm going to have Owen on a live stream at some sort of point in here so that you can just see how you're treating a very dear friend of mine. And it's sick, and I do not accept it. So this is what happens as soon as we send missiles over to the Ukraine. They're immediately discovered by satellite because China and Russia have a satellite, and they are really watching over the sky 100% in the Ukraine. And as soon as we send something over there, they either capture it, dissect it, or they blow it up. So 900 guys died yesterday in just this one ordeal. And like I said, if you keep this up, people of the Ukraine, there will be no more Ukraine. Just like if we want to listen to Jack Wagon Joe, there's not going to be an America. I don't think we can last to the end of this administration. And there is a clause that if fraud and bribery is found, that we can try to erase all of this. But between the Federal Reserve and this administration, you see Comer get up and he says, oh, we have the records now for 2 or 3 months. While they sit there with, I'd say, their finger somewhere it shouldn't be, and they're not getting the job done. So I've been asked to run in the state of South Dakota for Congress against Dusty Johnson. That is a possibility. I've also been asked to run for the 32nd Congressional District in Dallas against what was Colin Allred's position. And after seeing all the loser scumbags that are sitting in office, and only the ones that are worth the salt happen to be my personal friends, I think it's time for a guy like me to get in there and totally clean house in a vicious manner. And you hear me about that because the Constitution was made to be loved and feared. And I'm tired of all these woke BS artists, broke school teachers getting paid out and bought out for $100,000 here and there, while the victims are every single person you see in a street in a tent scattered across our great country. It's a violation of the Constitution. They've taken the posterity away from us, and they've committed treason in Afghanistan and in the Ukraine by giving aid and comfort to the enemy. I want to remind you that the Ukraine was Russia. They speak Russian and Ukrainian there. How ridiculous is this? And we're so broke, the people of Hawaii don't even get any government assistance. I had to learn from people that are surfing out there, professional surfers, that they didn't see one government aid employee for 8 days. Is that government working for you? $700, no home, all your animals are dead. Media's lying about the numbers. 111. Everybody on the island's telling me thousands of people are dead. Kind of stinks like 9/11 or the Oklahoma City building, but you know what? It's got the U.S. government's name combined with the local power company's name written all over it. That's my spin on it. And again, check out the names of the weirdos and all the pedophiles and homos that are living on Maui. And I think that's Epstein's new island, and they're burning out the locals just so that they can get away with what they do. And what is that? We're not going to talk about it, but it's unacceptable to the Lord. Now, Germany. We're completely losing Germany. The majority of Germany is also saying they don't want to support the war in Ukraine. No, and keep in mind, Italy, we're losing them. France has lost themselves. We're going to see complete destruction of Europe, and Europe will join with Russia in this war. And you would have never seen this at any time before, if it wasn't for the massive corruption that we are dealing with here in the United States of America that is obvious to every single person in our country. Again, we are living through times that are worse than the Great Depression. It is 111 degrees throughout Texas, and Austin, Texas is scattered full of 100,000 plus people that are homeless and trying to stay cool underneath tents. Where is our government? Where is our help? Where's the aid? And this is going off all across the United States, and to fuel the fire on that, now they're being judged and they're being added on to by at least another 100,000 illegal aliens, all hungry, all looking for work, all needing some sort of food. And when I see these riots and all these massed thefts, I'm not seeing Americans. I'm seeing these people that walked over our border. You need to point that out. Everybody that's looting us, I don't think a lot of them are citizens. Truly, a lot of them are, but I'm seeing a lot of foreigners that are integrated into these crimes. And why not? The first step you taught them how to do was to break our law when they came over here. So what do you think the second step's going to be? Okay? Now, this is what our government is wanting us to do. This is how our government is making us think that America is. And what you're seeing right here are bullets, big 152s, 155s being manufactured. Now, what is the result of this? death and destruction. And folks, they're even putting uranium, nuclear elements in this stuff just so that when they fall, they poison the ground and cause birth defects in those local areas for the next 100 years. How nice. The same people that want to bring you environmental actionism and to drive an electric car are the same people that are also blowing up bombs in Moabs and killing people every single day. Same people that blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. That was great for the environment. Just ask the people of Finland and Helsinki about it. Okay, so should we have a government and a group that just funds this? And my answer is no. And this is what the Republicans and Democrats do. And so my goal also would not just be term limitations, but we need to make it eventually to where the Republicans and Democrats as a party are ineligible because they've taken over our Constitution, they took out our president, and they are in violation of a RICO Act. So I don't know if you know what that is, but every DA that's gone after Trump is in a violation of a RICO Act. Yes, you are. And you're all guilty, and you all need to serve 20 years to 25 years for conspiracy. And it's a conspiracy to basically take over our election and to go after our commander-in-chief. How dare you? Okay, so if you're a DA out there, look this up and start making arrests. Spread this out. I know a lot of you. Go after these DAs, like DAs in Texas. Literally, go after her, go after Fannie, impeach her, but yet go after her with charges. We have to play the same game that they're playing. If they want to attack our president, well, we got a jail cell for that DA here in Texas, don't we? You darn right we do. Just make it happen. Okay, so play fire with fire, and that's the only way you're going to make this thing work. If not, you might as well surrender right now. Okay, so Trump charges were fake. This Carter Page thing happened. This was a very interesting report that just came out. Before we go into what she says, apparently a lot of people up in Sturgis and various areas were caught COVID, so I heard. A lot of people, it was a quick one. But again, what should you take for it? I'm going to put this in front of you right here. What is this? Okay, so what this is this is Ivermectin, okay? It's from Wormwood, and you can buy it at like Atwoods or Tractor Supply, okay? And I want you to take that with zinc. Now, the reason why I'm saying ivermectin and the horse thing is because that's treating 1,250 pounds, and then you can get some like zinc and C and stuff like that, and that's just a good, as Trump would call it, a prophylactic or a preventative measure so that you can keep yourself safe, okay? And again, ivermectin is actually plant. It's not a chemical. It's just a synthesized plant. So what this lady exposes is awesome. Let's go listen to what she has to say here.
You've been asked lots of questions about protocols, the Steele dossier, the Australian connection, Mr. Papadopoulos, Mr. Carter, the FISA court, and Crossfire Hurricane, among others. Your responses have been enlightening. Well, let's get to the brass tacks. None of those people or documents or reports were relevant to the FBI when it identified Donald Trump as public enemy number one. What do I mean? The accuracy and veracity of the Steele dossier was irrelevant to the FBI. The accuracy and veracity of the reports coming from the Australian embassy were irrelevant to the FBI. The fact that the Russian experts in the CIA, FBI, NSA, and other agencies had no evidence of any kind of relationship between Mr. Trump and Putin or Russia was irrelevant to the FBI. And the fact that there was no verifiable evidence, such as testimony, documents, videos, or recordings of Russian collusion, was irrelevant to the FBI. Nothing, and I repeat, nothing that the FBI did was designed to show that Donald J. Trump was a Russian asset. That wasn't the purpose of the entire charade. How do I know this is true? Because they told us so. The very people who cooked this up and the ones who ran this entire operation. Strzok, Lisa Page, Andrew McCabe, Kleinsmith, Steele, the DNC, Perkins Coie. It was never their purpose to prove Russian collusion. And in fact, from the very beginning, they knew that no such thing actually existed. They knew that the entire Russian collusion narrative was fabricated by the Clinton campaign to deflect attention from her mishandling of classified materials and destruction of official emails. But they didn't need to prove Russian collusion. They just had to keep the investigation alive. And so long as they had a complicit press, and so long as they had people in this very body who has been here, one of the gentlemen who has been here much of the day, who would go on TV every night and lie about the smoking gun, they could further their personal and political agendas. Oh no, the purpose of Crossfire Hurricane wasn't to prove Russian collusion, it was to destroy Donald J. Trump. And they told us that with the text messages that are set forth on page 49.
This guy needs to go to prison.
49 and 50 of your report. And then, if they failed at blocking Mr. Trump from being elected as president, well, they had a backup plan. They had their insurance policy, to use Strzok's terminology, which was to make it impossible for him to govern. To use whatever tools were available to taint his presidency, the legitimacy of his election, his ability to work with foreign leaders, and to make everything about Russia, Russia, Russia. And how has this corruption and rot manifested itself in our everyday lives, in our national culture, in our ability to solve the problems we are facing? It has destroyed some of the key foundations of this country. A foundation built on equal protection, on the belief that justice is blind, on the belief that you will be held accountable if you commit a fraud of the magnitude of what we have been discussing here today, on the belief that due process, justice, and constitutional rights are more than mere words. It has left a smoldering, hot, volcanic mess where the soul of this country used to be. All because a few people in the FBI decided they wanted to destroy a political candidate and ultimately a president and anyone associated with him. While these folks set out to destroy a presidential candidate and later a presidency, the fact is that they destroyed so much more, and that will be their ultimate legacy. One casualty is America's faith in our institution, and another casualty is the erosion of a justice system that is supposed to apply equally to all Americans, but that has been weaponized to protect the favored few elites, the Clintons, the Bidens, while targeting political enemies. That is the current legacy of the FBI and DOJ. Mr. Durham, here's my question. How long do you think that this country will survive?
Mr. Chairman, the time has expired. You can't ask the question.
Come on, Jim Jordan.
A system that seeks to persecute people based on their political beliefs.
Witness may respond. Gentlelady's time has expired.
I don't, do I respond?
Sure.
I don't think that things can go too much further with the view that law enforcement, particularly the FBI, or the Department of Justice, runs a two-tiered system of justice. The nation can't stand under those circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Gentlelady yields back. This concludes today's hearing. Mr. Durham, we thank you.
Could I put, with unanimous consent, could I put 2 documents into the record?
I'm going to let this continue.
The hearing is not over. The gentlelady may make her unanimous consent request.
Don't miss the most damning Durham finding and 6 documented instances of systematic pro-Democrat FBI corruption.
Without objection. So,
Mr. Durham, this seems to all started with one person, but I don't see his...
Oh, now listen, this is very important. I want you to know that the main person, Joseph, that they have, they can't find this fictitious person, so I'm going to let this continue. This is all based upon a bunch of BS, and so we need Trump back in office. This is a violation of the 24th and 25th Amendment, and in my opinion, if I was prosecuting, I'm a lot more vicious than Jim Jordan, but this is a constitutional violation all based off fraud, off someone that our Department of Justice and our intelligence, they can't find this individual? Come on, then how intelligent are they? Get real.
Do you think he's a Western source? Is he associated with Western intelligence?
Joseph
It's hard to say who Mr. Mifsud is associated with.
Joseph Misfit.
Link University, Mr. Scoti, who had involvement in the Italian government, and they were acquainted. It's hard to say who Mifsud. I'm going to yield the remainder of my time to Mr. Gates. Hard to say who Mifsud is. He's the guy who started the whole thing. We've known it for years. Go ahead and play the video.
Yeah, listen to this. The guy that started, they can't find, and they don't know who he is.
Special counsel's office interviewed Mifsud. Did he lie to you guys too?
Can't get into that.
Did you interview Mifsud?
Can't get into that.
Is Mifsud Western intelligence or Russian intelligence?
Can't get into that.
Well, I'm reading from your report.
Mifsud told Papadopoulos, Papadopoulos tells the diplomat tells the FBI opens the investigation July 31st, 2016, and here we are 3 years later, July of 2019, the country's been put through this, and the central figure who launches it all lies to us, and you guys don't hunt him down and interview him again, and you don't charge him with the crime. Maybe a better course of action is to figure out how the false accusation started. Maybe it's to go back and actually figure out why Joseph Mifsud was lying to the FBI. And here's the good news. Here's the good news. That's exactly what Bill Barr is doing. And thank goodness for that. That's exactly what the Attorney General and John Durham are doing.
Okay, so I thought that was really something that we, the American public, needed to hear. Okay, now Matt Gaetz, one of my other friends, the only person worth salt here, he knew. Let's listen.
This whole thing was an op, Mr. Durham. This wasn't like a bumbling, fumbling FBI that couldn't get FISA straight. They ran an op. So who put Mifsud in play? You don't know, do you?
I do not know that. I can't give you the
For
answer.
years, you had years to find out the answer to what Mr. Jordan said was the seminal question, and you don't have it. And it just begs the question whether or not you were really trying to find that out. Because it's one thing to criticize the FBI for their FISA violations, to write a report. They've been criticized in plenty of reports. Some have referred to your work as just a repackaging and regurgitation of what the Inspector General already told us. So if you weren't going to do what Mr. Jordan said you were going to do in that video and give us the basis for all of it, what's this all been about?
Thank you so much, Congressman Matt Gaetz. Exactly. So Jim Jordan, Congressman Matt Gaetz have completely exposed the fraud in this crime, and I wanted you to be aware of that. What should be the penalty? What should be the penalty for all of these liars, Carter Page, everyone else? I say prison. Oh, that would be light. This stuff, when you see somebody in a tent, I want you to know that it was those people that put them there. Yeah. Those people put Jackwagon Joe in the office so that he could give billions of dollars to fund the death of people. They couldn't even give us tiny homes, restrooms, nothing. This Durham report is the biggest sham we've ever seen. Matt?
It started the whole deal. I yield back.
I was away from my family for 4 years, essentially doing this investigation. My view is a sincere.
No, and let me just say, so basically, let me have Matt say his part there so you understand the fraud of this guy.
And give us the basis for all of it. What's this all been about?
Well, I'm not exactly sure the import of your question.
He doesn't know what this is about. It's destroyed our country.
Interview Mr. Mifsud. The answer is yes.
Why didn't you subpoena
We expended.
Why didn't you subpoena him to a grand jury?
I'm sorry. What?
Okay, so I'm gonna move something out quite a bit further, and what you're seeing behind me is something I was doing in 2003 to 2006 with this great man right here behind me named Robert Plar. And Robert and I made this weird prayer to Jesus. I live on this lake on Lake Louisville, and it's the fishing. I just wanted to live and eat fish off of it the whole time. It's the water hole in the water system for the city of Dallas. And they gave me this flyer, and it said I could only eat one fish a month out of the lake. And I was like, oh my goodness, because all the fish were loaded full of diazine, atrazine, grazon, and a whole bunch of birth control from UNT and TWU. That'd be University of North Texas and Texas Women's University. One of my friends, Tyrone B. Hayes from Berkeley University, did a big study on atrazine and how it feminizes the population. That's kind of what's happened with Dallas-Fort Worth, and it's in our water source, everybody. So we started developing these homes behind us, and the difference between this home and other homes is these homes produce their own water, their own power, their own heat. So we use the sun, we use the wind and the sun, and we use that energy to dehumidify the atmosphere. So we take the water out of the air, and that's basically oxygen and hydrogen, and then we diffuse it back into hydrogen and oxygen. And molecularly, water is 87.5% molecular weight oxygen, 12.5% molecular weight hydrogen. And then we use that hydrogen to power our vehicles and our houses and our homes. But we had this very interesting, that's Robert's wife back there, and I'm not going to give her age away, but if you knew, you'd say, oh my goodness, how do you guys look so young? And let me back this up here a little bit. So with Robert and this water that we discovered, we're taking it from the air, and the EPA said it was the cleanest water they ever tested. And so NASA started giving us all these solar panels, and eventually they put our water system into outer space. That company is called Air to Water. It's an alkalized water, and the thing is we can use this water system to save every child on every country everywhere. And that's just simply by putting a solar panel on top of a water dehumidifier. And then through that, you take out the humidity, and you have a clean water source. And I'm saying that now because Texas is getting so hot, and some of us don't know that you could even take the condensate from your own air conditioner and use that as a water system backup too. And I think it's just something that's really important for us right now for sustainability, for our chickens, our cattle, horses, or anything that we need. This wind generator right here, we built at a Home Depot, and it makes 5,000 watts. This Hummer we have runs on hydrogen. So everything we were doing a long time ago, but it was like we were hoping that the government would use that so when natural disasters would happen, the government would be ready to house people. And the exoskeleton for the for Homeland Security. Now the exoskeleton we'd take from soda ash, fly ash, and magnesiums, and basically it has an RF factor of 45, and it became the exoskeleton for the Virgin Galactic Space Program, and it was invented by Joe Lacey, and he's a incredible scientist. So there's a lot of things out there that we need to share as a country so that we can move forward, and more importantly, so that we can build houses that won't burn, houses that are radiation proof, fireproof. Don't you think that's something we need? And 5G and radiation proof, because I don't trust this 5G stuff. I don't know about you. And so this is nothing we're selling you. This is just showing you that we've actually, we call ourselves the School of Hard Knocks, the Can-Do Choo-Choos. He's a Marine. And basically, you either do it or you don't do it. And everything we made by hand out there. And this is called free-range hydrogen. Again, we're using wind energy with the solar energy to take the water out, and then using that energy. The government actually told us we couldn't talk about it too much with hydrogen because turns out the more hydrogen we use, the colder the explosion. We use heat-seeking missiles, and we couldn't talk about it until Obama then released that same technology to the king of Saudi Arabia. Now, these F-16s are important because they can run on hydrogen, which then makes them invisible. They can also carry nuclear weapons, and that's why I'm bringing all this up. And this is the one thing that Putin has asked us not to do. And Joe Biden's doing it because he knows that the axe is at the base of the tree. Some of you know what I mean. Now, he's going to do this, and it's just like get him out as quick as possible, but I want to know, why is everybody so on the fence about, you know what's right, you know he stole the country, you know that they're making fires, and sometimes I'm glad that just God shows us these things because he's droughted us out, and while we're droughted out, you know what's happening? He's flooding out China. China is record 140-year rains flooding. And so their entire country is devastated right now from record floods. And all I'm going to say is thank you. Thank you, Lord, because they need a catastrophe over there because we sure do have one sitting in our White House, don't we? Now, the only thing that made me laugh is that there's a hurricane tracking up Mexico, going to hit Los Angeles. Hopefully it brings some rain to Texas, but it's got an appropriate name, Hurricane Hillary. She's traveling up the coast, and I'm going to imagine it'll be damaging just because of the name itself. Or did Bill, did you name that? That was and thanks to Norm Macdonald. So anyways, that's China, and they've got a record thing of rain devastating their country. And so I think that China is actually our main enemy that's working with Jackwagon Joe and bioweapons and all that. I don't really think that Putin is our main enemy because they're so strong. I think they could have bombed us a while back. However, Belarus is ready, and England is looking guilty. What do I mean by that? You guys supplied some missiles that you shouldn't have, and you got a response, such a response that Germany's backing out from supporting you. And all this fake media claim as far as Belarus not being on the side of Russia, no. Everybody's scrambling to Putin's side right now because we're being represented by a complete liar. His name is Jack Wagon Joe. I'm asking for you to read the Constitution of the United States with me and to enforce it so that we can make America great again. Anyways, my name's Chris Sanders. Thank you for listening. God bless you.